All right. It's time for us to continue taking a look back at Kent's side of the Hovind Raw video exchange debate from late 2018 to get a full picture on what all Kent was saying. Um, I'm doing this because these are interesting case studies in how Hovind was in that time period, his slightly different behaviors, the state of everything at DAL. Because he's gotten far more eccentric as time has gone on, far more bitter as the 2020s have continued. And so I find going back to that earlier content, that mid-era Hovind content from post-DA, post-prison, interesting. Additionally, this is some of the rare video of Kent from that time period since after the original Ken Hovind official YouTube channel, my apologies, got deleted. We lost a massive quantity of that content. We have a lot of really early post DAL, post prison DAL stuff, but the mid era seems to be kind of lost. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but for the interest of studying this lolcow, it makes things a little bit more difficult. Um, but yeah, enough preamble. We're going to get right to this. I'm gonna be honest, I have not had the best day, and when I streamed earlier, I had gotten some news that or I suspected what had gone on. It hadn't been confirmed, but it got confirmed. Lost a person who was a close friend for many, many years. I talk about it more um in my Discord server. But that's affecting me right now. And I'm actually doing this because I don't feel like doing anything else. So we're going to power through. Hopefully, we'll laugh about this. The Hovind, not, my former best friend being gone. Um, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't go through this without bringing it up. It's just a little rough, but let's do this thing.
Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland. It is October the 30th, Cindy's birthday. I said, Cindy, what do you want for birthday? She said, I want a bunch of fruit trees and a low.
I noticed he says right there, what do you want for birthday? Like someone would say for Christmas. Again, this stuff is so weird. And I meant to address when Tubian had brought it up previously, that there's a common thing in Brits of saying like to hospital. And I consider that a little different. I'm not in the best state to try to parse things right now. But saying it like a location makes slightly more sense to me than it does trying to not not being an action or a title or something, like of a person. I was lifeguard. It's like, no, you are a lifeguard. That's a title bestowed upon you. um you know I don't know. There's a subtle difference, but it may also stem from the fact that I've gotten relatively used to hearing them say like in hospital. It just kind of becomes second nature when you hear it. It doesn't phase me anymore. But yeah. Also, that confirms, not that I doubted, I suspected this was a time frame, but yeah, this is during the Cindy Lincoln era of Hovind's wife fiascos. Um, so that still likely could have actually been the voice we heard yesterday, and probably was. Now that I think more about it, that's why I was like, "Is that Cindy?" It might just not have sounded the same due to different microphones. But again, let's keep going.
Load of cow poop. Okay. Well, guess where I've been all day? Digging up trees and never mind. So, thank you so much for joining us. I'm serious. Women, who understands them? Anyway, we have taken a little break from our asking questions about how did this evolve to answer.
Let me turn up the video settings because they've gotten low for some reason. There we go. And with regard to my friend, I mean, I haven't actually talked to him in little over 15 years. Like I said, we had a falling out. I was hoping we'd eventually get to chatting with each other again sometime and, be able to make up for things. Still never stopped being a brother to me. Still never stopped. It's actually odd timing that I would get this news because, and I don't want to focus on this too much for the stream, but it is an interesting thought that he actually flipped the bill originally for me to get Zadara set up, my website. He paid the original server costs. He paid for the domain name. He got me set up. And coming up on the 18th anniversary of it. So it's very weird if I had said, if I had known, hey, my buddy's got like 18 years, it'd have been like, that's so, it just, I don't know. It's a weird thing to process. That's really all there is to it. But again, that's enough focusing on that. I'll throw the Discord link in the chat. Tag's good for an hour. So if you aren't in, hop on in. But let's keep going. Yeah.
Aaron Nelson, who calls himself Aaron Ra, but I don't like the Egyptian goddess or god with got a hawk head or something like that. I don't think he's got. Never mind. So, Mr. Nelson, you said you had evidence of your changing your name legally. Well, show that on next time. I'd like to see that, and then I'll believe you. Until then, just like you don't believe I taught high school, I don't believe your name changed to Aaron Ra. I think it's Aaron Nelson. So, Mr. Nelson, tonight we're going to finish up talking. Well, not going to finish up. We're going to take another segment out of
So Petty, just the perpetual pettiness of Kent Hovind.
Your YouTube. I made a challenge some time ago that I would take on any atheist or evolutionist. I would like them to offer their best 3 evidences for evolution. And someone told me, hey, why haven't you answered Aaron? I said, I don't know. Did he say something? Yeah, I don't watch your channel, don't intend to, but I did watch this one, so I'm going to play clip at a time like the agreement was and interject my corrections. Okay, here's where we left off last broadcast. Here he said, okay.
Kent calls anyone who accepts mainstream science an evolutionist because he...
Whoa. Here you are confusing mainstream science and evolution. This is the problem, okay? Beer is often sold at football games. Beer has nothing to do with football, okay? And it does not become athletic by association. Marlboro uses cowboys as their logo to sell Marlboro, and Marlboro cigarettes have nothing to do with cowboys. And evolution is not part of mainstream science. Stop associating it with...
Except it totally is, Kent. I mean, that's all there is to it at this point. There is nothing more to say except you're fucking wrong. Just, you're wrong. You're going to always be wrong. You have always been wrong. And there's no point in wasting time trying to get you to understand how wrong you are. Because you'll just perpetually reject it. Evolution is a scientific fact, in as much as anything can be a scientific fact. Don't like it? Get the fuck over it. You chose some stupid shit to base your life around.
Mainstream science. Science deals with things we can observe, study, test, and demonstrate. There's nothing about biology or earth science or physical science or chemistry that involves evolution. It's a completely useless religion stirred in and mixed in with our science. So don't try to sneak your evolution in under the guise of science. It's not part of science, Mr. Nelson.
He wants to establish the fallacy of false equivalence.
Whoa. Fallacy of false equivalency. Okay, here we go. What is the fallacy of false equivalency? Okay.
Yes. Before he was typing it into Google AI stuff and ChatGPT, he was asking his phone about it.
Here's a summary from Wikipedia. False equivalence is a logical fallacy in which 2 completely opposing arguments appear to be logically equivalent,
when in fact they are not. I'll look it up on Wikipedia and to give a few examples, okay, of false equivalency. Here we go. Examples, okay. They're both living animals that metabolize chemical energy. There's no difference between a pet cat and a pet snail. Whoa. Aaron, this is precisely what you do. The false equivalency. I asked you, do you think a pine tree, a whale and a pine tree are related? Your answer was,
All life is related, Kent. Done. Moving on.
yes, they're both eukaryotes. A eukaryote is a cell that contains a nucleus wrapped in its own little membrane. That's a common cell structure for millions of different creatures, okay? I know the elephant and the pine tree are related. They both have a trunk, okay? But you're accusing me of the logical fallacy of false equivalency? No, sir. Look in the mirror. You said an elephant and a pine tree are related because they're both eukaryotes. You are doing the false equivalency. Let's continue here.
Nope, it's not false equivalence, because being a eukaryote would be a trait that would be passed down, an inherited aspect. You can't suddenly not be a eukaryote. Those traits stay with from the progenitor to the descendant species forever. Ergo, it acts as a reasonable unit to measure, a trait to define, a trait for something to be defined as, and shows a direct lineage. Because these traits always exist going down the chain, going out, going, forward in time, never backwards. At a point, you stop finding different traits. And that's when, we just noticed that's when we realized, hey, this rabbit trail goes on for longer than we thought, or I should say this rabbit hole goes deeper than anyone imagined.
Pretending that science is religion too.
I have never said science is religion. I've said evolution is religion. That's right. So I love science. I taught science.
No, you don't, Kent. Because when prompted with other scientific aspects, you know nothing about them. You recite some random facts on occasion, enough to make people think you have a clue what you're talking about. But when pressed on complex thinking involving scientific subjects, you know absolutely nothing about absolutely everything. You don't love science. You don't know shit about it. And if you did love science, you would try to actually learn something. But you don't beyond rote memorization of random tidbits of data that make it sound like you have a clue, because the average person isn't going to care about exact values, like the speed of light or what have you.
For 15 years, whether you believe it or not. And I think I can hold my own in a discussion on science. Do you want to talk about...
You didn't with King Crocoduck. You probably wouldn't with me, and I'm sure you wouldn't with any other good old scientist out there.
About physical science or earth science or biology. I think I can probably name more muscles and bones and tendons and ligaments than you can.
Just Kent. There's no reason to watch R Inside because it contains all the Kent content, and I have nothing to add to Rn's discussions. We're here to actually react and comment on Hovind stuff and other bits of insanity, usually, if not exclusively, creationist mind-numbingness. Not so much to, or, debates between the two, but not so much to look at, the smart people do the smart thing.
You can, if not, congratulations. But none of that has anything to do with evolution. So stop associating evolution with science. It's not related. It's not science.
Except it completely is, once again, because every element of the process, the methodology that is science, is a greater discipline, is used in understanding evolution. Just because you don't like it means you can't just magically say it's not science, because it is. That's simple. It is.
Science. It's nonsense. It is a religion.
I don't know how improving our understanding of reality is somehow more dangerous than believing it.
Well, I'm not afraid of improving our understanding of reality.
Fuck's sake, Kent. Let him get through one statement. You'll notice this with Kent. Especially in this. Because he barely plays anyone's videos anymore at this stage. He doesn't let a person get 3 words in before he interrupts something. They can barely get a sentence fragment out without Kent having to go on a diatribe. And you might say, well, Chris, you do the same. And it's like, sometimes we're necessary, not every single time. So, eat me.
That's what science has been about for hundreds of years. Studying things. Why does this happen? Why does this do this? Oh, we forgot the fan. Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm sorry. Here, turn the fan on there. Okay.
Oh yeah, I just love that wind noise coming right in the ears. It actually sounds quite pleasant and is reminding me that my headphones are actually working okay, because I thought for a while my right channel was going out, because I actually have an identical pair that the right channel failed in because the cable probably broke, because I just tossed this shit around. Don't see it for 3 years, then pull it out and it's like, oh, I wonder if it still works. Nope.
Is it working? Do I look more intelligent? It's probably messing up the microphones. But shut it off. Okay. I can't compete with that.
I could do that. I just have to remember to. I mean, right now I'm on the proper playlist, so yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so there is nothing about science that has anything to do with evolution. Stop associating the two here. And improving our understanding of reality. I am in favor of that. Evolution is a hindrance.
Also, no, Hovind not understanding that Aaron puts on a level of theatrics with these videos because he just exudes that kind of charisma and needs to have fun with it. Also, he looks like a Klingon deity, so, kind of got to roll with that. Hovind not understanding that there's a bit of showmanship to presentations, which is weird because he used to have a kind of showmanship, but once he reached the Hawaiian shirt era, he just lost all of it.
To science. Evolution hasn't improved our understanding of reality in any branch of science. You don't need to know anything about Charlie Darwin to understand about physics and launch a rocket to the moon. You don't need to understand anything to learn about... no doctor...
And you don't need to understand the Tchaikovsky's, I think it's Tchaikovsky, Cyclosky, I forget the name. Fuck, I should know this. But the dude's rocket equations to understand evolution. And you don't need to understand gravity to understand magnetism. And you don't need to understand atomic theory. Really, yeah, I generally think you don't need to have a decent understanding of atomic theory to understand flight. Up to the molecular level, just know that there's stuff. And, different disciplines, different end results, different, activities demand different elements of science, different disciplines to be concerted. Evolution's a funny one because a whole lot of otherwise unrelated disciplines, though, different fields do corroborate each other on all the principles of evolution and all the other relevant criteria of the age of the earth, the age of the universe, the way things work, the way things are, the way things were, the way things will be. It's beautiful. But you've got too myopic a view to ever be able to even remotely comprehend the big picture.
On the planet who does surgery thinks about evolution. He better know his muscles and his tendons and his bones and what to cut, what not to cut.
$2 super chat from our friend Marty, sending love. Marty, always with the hearts. Much love, my friend. Thank you.
I don't care if the heart surgeon understands, is a Christian. He should be, but many heart surgeons are Christians and say, wow, God designed this amazing heart. Here you are. This is the false equivalency. You're trying to say if you don't believe in evolution, you're against the advancement of science. This is ridiculous, Mr. Nelson. Let me help you here. Let's go on here.
In evil spirits, spells, and curses, but that's what he...
Evil spirit, spells, and curses?
Yeah, Kent. Your whole book is nothing but that. And he looks so dumbfounded. It's like, dude, that is what most all religions have. That's an aspect of them. That's the nature of it with fantasy, with myth, that we tend to go larger than life. And what's larger than life but magic? Let's have things that could never happen normally happen in these stories, and it makes them interesting.
When have I ever said that?
I mean, could you imagine Lord of the Rings if Frodo worked a 9-to-5 job and that's all it was about? But them being little hobbit people and going to fucking Skull Mountain or whatever the hell it is, They go fight fucking He-Man, hang out with Skeletor. Yeah. I think that's how it worked.
Some of you said you've watched all my videos, okay? Okay. I don't believe I ever talk about that. Okay.
He thinks, at least he realizes how bad religions are.
When have I ever said I realize how bad religions are? Evolution is a bad religion, but
It's not a religion.
belief in a God that created the world, how could that possibly be bad? I think
Well, it's wrong for starters. It's not evidently true and evidently not true, as Aaron would put it. But then when you tack on the additional baggage of your deity, it becomes bad, if true. Or just to believe it in period becomes intrinsically bad. Notwithstanding the fact that believing something that is evidently not true is, depending on a person's perspective, bad.
that has helped many people. Oh, let me continue here.
And Kent is fond of repeating the lie that
The evolution theory is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of the world. He said, Kent is...
Note that lovely picture-in-picture fade-in that Aaron did? That's called editing, Kent. And I know these videos have a little pre- and post-production to them, but still not what... not the level of what Aaron was doing here. Not the level of what Aaron was doing back when you were still being bed buddies with randos in prison.
fond of repeating the lie. Aaron, that's not a lie. It's true. I'll say it till I die. Evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of the world. Can't think of anything dumber than to teach the kids
Yeah, the Crusades and Manifest Destiny, perfect examples of where believing a God created the world can lead to something pretty horrible, as it extrapolates, which is not hard to extrapolate into dominionist ideals.
all came from a rock, and there's nobody to answer to. How could you have right and wrong? How could you have any rules? Where's the standard for right and wrong? If evolution is true, answer.
The standards are that we're a social species and we all end up mostly agreeing on what's good and what's bad, with some debate here and there, creating gray areas, which is fine. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, which is funny because that's an absolutist statement, this portraying the duality of the Jedi. We're not here to get into Star Wars lore, unless you want to. But no, I can't. It's... the ideas of morality are emergent in us being a social species. So they're subjective to us as a species, as groups, as culture, as populations. It's really that simple.
That in your rebuttal, please. So I'm not repeating a lie. I'm repeating a statement you don't like. I'm exposing a truth when I say that.
It's kind of both, Kent. Aaron doesn't seem to like lies. I'm pretty sure most people don't like lies. And if what you say is a lie, then it's a lie, and he's also not going to like it because it's a lie, and he knows it's a lie. So, yeah. It's not a one or the other thing, buddy. Now that is a false dichotomy right there. Unlike when I called one other thing out as a false dichotomy, the stolen, there is a God or there isn't thing, and the dude was like, how's that a false dichotomy? And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, I'm used to things being weird like that, and I was running on autopilot when I commented. Because, I'll laugh at myself for making silly mistakes like that. Because I'm goofy. I don't know. Let's keep going.
That, Mr. Nelson.
But as I have explained to him before, every religion, commonly accepted as such by both its adherents and critics, is a faith-based belief system positing the notion that a supernatural essence of self somehow survives the death of the physical body to continue on in some other form.
Now hold it. You made up this definition. You can look up the word religion in 10 different...
All definitions are made up because all words are intrinsically made up. All ideas are intrinsically made up. They're just constructs that, because our brain works in object... This gets into crazy philosophy, but because the world exists as a matter of a whole lot of random objects. So because physical reality exists as a whole lot of objects, the individual manipulatable things or variables, we tend to think in various objects, various constructs, and we piece together representations of ideas, of descriptors of the world in language. But it's all made up. It's all artificial. It's all imaginary. They're just terms to describe things, just sounds that convey an idea. Super abstract, but saying somebody made up a definition, everything's made up, including your God.
Different dictionaries, there's a row of them up there, and get all kinds of different definitions for the word religion. So you're going to make up your own definition of the word religion, or maybe one that you selected out of all the ones available. Usually the word religion means belief in a supernatural power or powers that created the universe. Or some say created and governs the universe. I don't know where you got this definition. It is true that many religions do teach that some part of the body survives the death of the body, that man has a soul. If man is just animated meat, if your brain and your body is nothing but a collection of chemicals that got together by random chance over billions of years, how do you trust your own thoughts and your reasoning processes?
And then this idiocy that we somehow can't trust anything without magical. It just... non sequitur is used a lot, but it truly does not follow. Because again, an emergent aspect of us being what we are. An emergent aspect of consciousness having emerged from the strange nature of the brain generally behooves life to have an accurate interpretation of the universe around it. That way you actually know where you are, know what's around you, can interact with things the correct way. So, generally needs to be pretty self-reliable. And the brain mostly is. It fucks up every now and then. But then you extrapolate that to other thoughts and stuff where there could and should be a general reasoning for those thoughts. And what's a great thing is, with our ability to communicate in the language concept that was brought up earlier, we are able to convey and share the wisdom we accrue as we age, as we interact, as we progress to the younger generations. And should they receive that information properly, they'll already have that bit of info as we teach them to grow on. And we discovered that obviously very early on. Just like all life did in how many animals teach, their offspring how to do the critical things they need to. I think of kittens learning how to hunt from their mom. It only stands to reason when you extrapolate this out further that our complex thoughts would generally be accurate and that the neural pathways that would be formed would be as complicated as they are. And I know you love that word, as complex and as complicated as they are, have developed in such a way to sort of check themselves. And so that kind of, as a computer term, sanity check would go, for as much as there's a wall in front of me and if I punch it, it would fucking hurt, equally goes for, I've never been to France, but I am very sure there is a France because all evidence point towards there being a France. And generally, when I've seen lots of evidence pointing towards something, I'm inclined to believe it. But of course, it has to check some qualifiers, because people have lied to me in the past, and I found out that, hey, in retrospect, what they said didn't check whatever qualifiers I should have put down to check for validity. And I really shouldn't be going this deep into it, but I just freaking feel like it right now, just to show that even my rambling ass can come up with something far more cognizant, far more accurate, far more understandable, and far more practical than anything Hovind can. Because that argument really pisses me off. And right now I'm trying not to scream into the microphone because I'm in no mood for Hovind's bullshit. But of course, I do this for y'all.
Maybe you got a chemical in there backwards, Mr. Nelson.
Maybe you do, Mr. Hovind. Or, since the right wing loves to misgender people, I'm just going to be a complete prick and say Miss Hovind, since right now there is no Mrs. Hovind and the only Miss Hovind around is your crusty old hand. Yeah. Maybe you got something backwards, buddy. Also, way to attack people with mental illness there, Kent. Real high class of you. Go eat shit.
I believe you do, matter of fact, but I'm here to help. Okay.
That's what a religion is?
That's your definition of what a religion is. Don't start with your false idea and then build upon that sand foundation. Let's go on here.
Because that's what all religions are. But that doesn't apply to evolution or any other aspect of science either.
Well, there you go again. It doesn't apply to evolution or any other aspect of science. Do you see how he constantly tries to weave the two as if it's part of science? Evolution is not part of science.
You see how he tries to make it where evolution isn't science? Evolution is part of science, Kent. Go cry some more about it.
I love science.
And while you're at it, pay your goddamn taxes.
Evolution isn't science. Nobody's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog. You might believe it. You might have imagination and think that dogs and pine cones are related. Oh, I don't care what you believe.
Ooh, notice the black box hanging out right there. You can see it when Hovind swaps his hand over. Yeah, this is post random like copyright claim or whatever that must have happened from Viacom for having SpongeBob on screen the entire fucking video. So they did the black box around it and just kept going from there. It's kind of funny. I wish Viacom would get them more, but you know, as Seth Andrews pointed out, no one's ever going to sue a religious institution. Although I feel they should be sued to oblivion. That's just me.
But that's not science. You and SpongeBob need to start a college together. Okay, here we go.
Even the standard definition.
Just think, you know, this is back when people were able to, you could hear them laughing at his garbage jokes. Sounds like they're having to do it at gunpoint, Soviet style, but, you know, what do I know? Just sounds like a cult to me.
Shows that
There you go. Even the standard definition. Are you just now admitting that the one you made was made up? Looked like a little confession there to me. Let's go on here.
Evolution is not a religion, and Kant knows it.
No, there can be standard and non-standard things. There's a most common usage, most common definition, and then ancillary definitions. Boy, for a guy who's taught English 15 years, he really doesn't seem to understand the fucking language.
It's not. But he is
No, I don't know that it's not a religion. I honestly, sincerely believe evolution, the first 5 of the 6 I give, are religious. They have to.
Well, Kent, I don't give a fuck what you believe, and the first 5 of the 6 aren't evolution, and they aren't religions. Well, I mean, okay, number 5 technically is, but I don't do the micro-macro thing. It's all just mutation, and if measured against a certain point, one sees the evolutionary process. Like, evolution isn't... I don't look at evolution in and of itself as a thing. It is a term for an overlapping observable phenomena. So I guess that kind of makes it a thing, but not really. In the same thing, orbits aren't a thing. We know stuff orbits, but can you grab an orbit? No. But it describes a concept. Again, we're getting way into the weeds with like linguistic stuff, but that's how my brain like parses things. How I've always thought about stuff is in like a, I don't know. There's a visual component to it where I position things mentally, like the ideas of stuff as I hear them. It's part of why I probably talk so weirdly. And so when I hear Kent say the things he does, it becomes this like completely illogical cloud in my head of like, what the hell? How this is all scrambled. Let's tear it down, start again. Oh wait, Kent's going on to the next thing because this man does not know how to use language at all.
To be accepted by faith. There is no proof, scientific proof, that a speck of nothing can.
Yes, he only taught English to some degree, and here's the speck of nothing. Speck of nothing like Kent's brain.
Explode and create everything. There's no evidence for that at all. There is no evidence of any star forming.
Yes, there is on the stars, and now might as well be a good time, considering I'm just rambling this stream. My personal thoughts on the pre-Big Bang universe at this stage consists of what is effectively a singularity. or as close as you could get to something, at a maximum density that could be attained, whatever that may actually be, only insofar as it reaches the Planck temperature, maximum temperature that can possibly be. Whatever density value that would be, so be it. This thing, we'll just call it that, is certainly in no way, shape, or form our modern universe. Physical laws and such, nah, not at those temperatures, not at that density. You're not going to have any normal physics. Non-existent, which is how we kind of define the universe via physics. For all points and purposes with time, this thing is simultaneously eternal, yet simultaneously exists for only an instant. Ironically, like the photon. Look up that if you're, daring enough to try to comprehend how photons are eternal and infinitely short-lived at the same time. Anyway, the emergent effect of this existing is expansion. And as the expansion, i.e. Big Bang, happens, you get cooling down, you get properties of the universe becoming more of what they are, and then you follow standard Big Bang cosmology. That's my thought at current with some of the stuff I've picked up more recently as I've looked into things. I'm not prosing it as anything crazy. I'm not sitting here being like, Caruso Tomato has figured out what happened before the Big Bang, because I still think that term is completely nonsensical. But that's the way I describe the extant, whatever you would call, what would become the universe post-Big Bang. Got to be really cautious with my wording there. But, yeah, if you think that's interesting, cool. If not, okay.
None. Nobody's ever seen one form. We don't even know how it can happen. Nobody's ever seen that, so you believe it. There's no evidence of a planet forming from a hot molten ball of rock.
Except yet again, another thing we've fucking seen happen. We have models, all this stuff we have seen. The processes do take a long time, but we've seen the steps. We know how this works. We've seen stars forming. We've seen planetary nebulae. And I mean the actual planet-forming nebulae. I forgot their names. Because planetary nebula just refers to the circular disk around, like type 1a supernova and the like. Anyway. I mean, not type 1a. Failed eventual end result of red giants and the like. God, I am so not in the mood to deal with Hovind. Powering through. We got to do this. Point is, Hovind doesn't know shit.
There's no evidence for that. That's a religious belief. There's no evidence that life can start in a warm little pond or organic soup. That's part of a religion. There is no evidence anywhere in the planet, anywhere in
Yes, Justin, precisely. There was no space before Big Bang. You need space to have time, so no time before Big Bang. Bingo, since it is, contrary to what Hovind constantly says, a unified space-time construct.
Recorded history that any animal or plant has ever produced anything other than its kind. I know you don't like the word kind. That's what the Bible uses. I think I'll stick with that, please. Okay.
He's not in the habit of correcting or even acknowledging his own mistakes.
Yeah, and the Bible says a lot of other things that I'm sure you would love to use, but they're no longer politically acceptable to say. Of course, not that you've ever cared about that, but, you just can't go around saying a lot of these things anymore, is all I'm saying. And there's a lot of stuff now you can, so I don't know what to believe anymore. Except you're garbage. I know that's bullshit.
Because
I'm not in the habit of correcting or acknowledging my mistakes. You haven't pointed one out yet, Mr. Nelson. I think I've pointed out some of yours. Will you correct or acknowledge your mistakes, please? Okay. Which specific mistake?
Yeah, protoplanetary disk is the word. Thank you.
Said evolution's a religion. Now, you don't like that, but that's not a mistake. I think you'll find thousands and thousands of people would agree that evolution's a religion.
Is the word I should have said is the term. And I don't give a fuck how many random creationist weirdos you can find who believe evolution is a religion or whatever the hell you just said. I don't even remember. What'd you say?
Find thousands and thousands of people would evolution's a religion.
Okay, yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, I don't give a fuck, they're still wrong. That's the beauty of facts. Doesn't you guys yourselves are kind of obsessed with the facts don't care about your feelings mantra, but when it's reversed on you, you have a problem with it. Which I fully agree. Facts don't care about your feelings. My feelings, however, care about the facts.
That's all he has.
That's all I have are mistakes and errors. Have you listened to my seminars? I cover all...
Yes. Everything you say in those things is full of shit, just like everything else you've said. The most accurate things you say are your stupid little openers before you get on to whatever shitty sermon you're going to have.
All sorts of... I'll tell you what. 2 plus 2 is 4. Are you going to call that a mistake now? Because if it's all I have is mistakes and errors, well... What if...
All right, Kent. Now prove 2 and 2 become 4. I'm not being funny about that. I mean, prove it. I want to see if Kent Hovind can actually go through the scientific process, even though we're talking math here, go through the processes necessary to properly mathematically, and thus to a sense scientifically prove that 2 and 2 is 4. It's a very easy thing to do, but I think he won't actually get what he needs to do. And he'll just argue like, it's obvious, and just write it down on paper. Still not actually proving anything.
It is 2 plus 2. You tell me if I got it wrong. I think I give lots of scientific evidence. Watch my last 60 broadcasts on different creatures from A to M now, and we'll finish that eventually. Where exactly... Why would you say that's all I have?
And yes, that's another thing Kent does not comprehend, is that you have to, actually come up with this stuff as novel concepts. He does not understand in any capacity what a novel prediction is.
If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with...
Okay, now we're going to have to edit out.
Now we're going to have to edit that out. Aw, boo fucking who, Kent?
You're cursing, obviously. We said that was part of the deal. Let me explain something to you, Mr. Nelson. You just had something in your mouth that I wouldn't hold in my hand.
A word?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, such an overgrown baby. He thinks he's got some kind of pointer with that defiant, oh, see, I got you. So pathetic. Also, this fucking grandstanding, trying to take some kind of moral high ground because these idiots have a list of prohibited words. Oh, but being a bigoted piece of shit is perfectly fine. But, saying some naughty words is just horrible.
Think about that for 5 minutes. And my daddy would say, when somebody...
My daddy. Well, fuck your daddy, all right?
...resorts to cursing and swearing, that's a sign of a low IQ. I think Dad...
And yet it's actually a sign of high intelligence, and your daddy didn't know jack diddly shit.
Daddy was right, okay? You're demonstrating it for us.
And again, some might say, oh, but Chris, Ken Hovind's dad was a World War II veteran, and you have high respect for World War II and shit. And it's like, yeah, but if one of their if their child was Kent Hovind, they obviously weren't that great of a person themselves and failed as a parent for the benefit of humanity because they ended up creating this monstrosity. So, no. Ken Hovind's dad's a piece of shit too. I don't give a fuck. I'll fucking say it. Because if he raised Ken Hovind, then he can't be that good of a person in his own right. No fucking way.
So, I'm not trying to dazzle anybody. You're the one who tries to dazzle people with all kinds of big words and talkably and never got to look up everything you say. I target the 4th, 5th graders. People enjoy my stuff. They say, wow, I heard that guy. I understood him. I keep it real simple. Who's trying to dazzle people with bovine excrement?
That's his game. He doesn't have any actual truth, and he doesn't even know what truth is.
Now, why would you say
Because it's true, Kent. You don't know what truth is.
Such a thing? He doesn't have any actual truth, and he doesn't...
I mean, I hate to have just outright usurped so many of R and Ra's lines, but I love the truth is what the facts are line. He's right.
Know what truth is. Which field of science would you like to take? Earth science, physical science, biology? I think I can hold my own on any one of those in a discussion with a whole lot of...
Notice you left out astronomy there, Kent, and astrophysics. And you don't know jack diddly fuck about quantum physics. If I was to ask him what a quark is, and to describe the types of quarks to me, highly doubt he could do it.
People. I don't want to try to dazzle anybody with my brilliance here, but I think I could rattle off quite a few facts that would dazzle you with my brilliance if you would like. But we won't do that. Okay, let's go on.
Which is sad. Beware of false knowledge. It is much more dangerous than ignorance.
That one, oh, hang on. He nailed you right on the head with that one. Call Bernard and say, thank you, you corrected me, Bernard. I needed that. That's you, okay, doing that, not me.
Video in its entirety, unless there's profanity, I will edit that out. But as long as you can talk without cursing, which I don't know.
Oh, I love this coming up. Let's all just take a moment to greatly appreciate Kent Hovind. I mean, not Kent Hovind. Don't appreciate anything about Kent Hovind. God. Appreciate R and Ra's lovely flamboozling of stuff here, and the fact that Kent still edited it. Because even pseudo-profanity is a no-no to Mr. Hovind, who will casually drop racist comments, drop the R word without any repentance thereof, any feelings that he's done anything wrong. You know, at least I feel bad if I say it. And probably drops a word that has another R in it, but has a hard one at the end, very regularly, I would imagine. I am certain he uses that word.
If you can, but if you can.
Gosh darn it to heck, how am I supposed to argue with this?
There's another example. You cannot argue. You think profanity enhances the discussion.
I would like 2 leptons of whipped cream, please. Thank you.
To me, it demonstrates a low IQ. That's what my daddy taught me. You can't think of anything else to say, so let's curse and swear and dazzle him.
Yeah, and I'm sure your World War II veteran deranged Hovind alert. I'm sure your World War II fighting daddy didn't say all kinds of things when he was fighting to save the world in the Pacific Theater. Fighting to save the world, I mean being in bed sick, apparently.
Dazzle him with my profanity. I'm not the least bit intimidated by it. And as I said, you had something in your mouth I wouldn't want to hold in my hand, okay? So, but if you want to put that kind of stuff in your mouth, go for it. It looks like with the wedding ring you're married. You might want to warn your wife that you had that in there before you kiss her, I think. Okay.
Oh, Kent. As far as I know, Aaron's only been married twice, a perfectly reasonable amount in this country, where a lot of times the first one doesn't work, but the second one certainly does. He and Leandra seem very happy. How are things with Cindy? Oh, I mean, Mary, I mean, Joe, I mean, Sandra. Oh. How are things with your right hand, Kent? Okay, thought so. No, I don't need details about the whales, all right? I've heard it enough.
I will play the video in its entirety, but I will hit pause and interject my comments as needed. So we will then supply an edited video.
And I do legitimately hope y'all just love that, what I just did there, because it came completely off the cuff. I'm proud of that one.
Video. It'll be his comments on the proof for evolution with my interjections as often as necessary.
I think we need the fan again just for a second here.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say it was pseudo-profanity. He was being funny, and they still censored it, because if it sounds like something, there must be something. Hovind.
Mr. Nelson. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, even I'll admit for a second, him putting that face on like he's in a shampoo commercial from the 90s made me laugh. You're still a prick, Kent.
I think this is a very reasonable offer that we will edit in comments as needed, because we got to stop you every 3.
Well, as I did earlier, since Republicans like to misgender people, and I'm getting sick of that, and I might as well fight fire with fire. You're looking at Miss Hovind. Mrs. Hovind, I don't know, but right there is Miss Hovind. It's not Mr. Hovind. It's not Dr. Hovind. It's Miss Hovind. Like, I forget who it is who's on the line regularly. It may be Atheist Experience alternately or as well, but some new regularly refers to God as a she. And I love that because I know why he's doing it. Just love it.
3 words. You interrupted me 288 times, and with me only speaking 36 minutes. This is going to be a much better way to do it.
I'm not saying Kent likes donkeys, but if you look at the Genesis Baptist Church credit card, there's a lot of charges for donkey shows.
Okay, I think most people who watch this, Steve is the first one ready to go up here almost? Almost. And then we'll gradually get these posted on our YouTube channel. I wanted to wait till the end, but you want to post them as you do them. Okay, well, then that's fine with me. But this was my offer, and I promised I would play the tape in its entirety, so here goes.
Aaron may then get his second chance to speak and re-edit the video. Don't leave out anything I say, but he's going to want to pause in the middle of my talking and interject his comments and send it back to me. I will then get my second chance to edit in any comments needed, and we will publish the video. We both get 2 chances at this. You give your best 3 evidences. I'll counter, but I don't want any...
I'll counter. It's never I'll give my best evidences because you don't have anything. You will never defend your position, Kent. You act like you will against evolution, thus so that you can counter facts with your stupid script, but you won't defend things whole cloth. And when you do, you get fucking stomped by those other theists. It's quite beautiful. We really should watch one of those videos sometimes. I just need to figure out which one I would want to cover first.
Interruptions at all, okay? And then you can do it in your studio without any interruptions from me, and then I will do it, and we will publish it.
And I'm going to complain because you decided to use a blue screen and wear one of your cool outfits and have a fan blowing because, you know, you still have long hair and my hair permanently grows in this douchebag thing. It's kind of like Joe Dirt. I was born without any skin on the top of my head, so they just glued a wig on it, and it happened to be a bootleg piece of shit Ken doll wig, and that's the way I've looked for the past 65 million years. Hovind.
Each of us will be allowed to post it and share it and copy it and sell it if we choose, with no royalty due to the other party. Simple enough?
What Hovind is proposing is essentially a written debate, which I'm delighted to accept, because that's the way scientific debates are done, where we can check each other.
Yeah, actual debate is done. All of this presentation bullshit, these exhibitions that Kent does, they're meaningless. That's why I don't care to debate. It's all fundamentally meaningless. If someone really truly wanted a proper written debate, I might go for that, but I honestly don't care enough about the subjects to go that far because what do I have to defend? Facts are what they are. Giving these clowns the satisfaction of wasting your time on them beyond stuff like this where we just laugh about it and ridicule and occasionally throw in some points or just get a chance to vent. There's no reason for it. Unless someone's going to pay my $20 an hour fee, in which case, sure, I'll do whatever. I'll do a lot for $20. But I won't do that.
Other sources before we reply. That also means that he can't...
Oh, and if I didn't mention it, no, I was just being funny with the donkey comment.
Can't do the Gish Gallop.
Here we go again with the Gish Gallop.
I got to defend Dwayne Gish.
We got the raw rat run. Okay, run on and on and on. I don't do the Gish Gallop. I continually say one topic.
Given the way Hovind likes to try to pull at people's strings and be a belligerent asshole, I'm going to call it the Hovind heckle. Which is funny since Ernst Haeckel, him heckling, kind of close. Of him constantly trying to get under people's skins and just being a belligerent child whenever he's losing.
At a time. But watch his next statement here. This is good.
Of course, that's why he's also demanding equal time and editorial control, but it doesn't work that way. Equal time doesn't apply in scientific debates. We can't have it anyway, not if he's going to enter as many interjections as necessary, which is how it should be. Because the truth matters, every error will be corrected, no matter how long that takes.
Even yours? We shall see.
Yes, the debate that never ended. We totally saw what happened, Kent.
I will try to be as brief as I can be. Interruptions aren't even possible in this format, so I guess Hovind hadn't really thought this through. And that's especially obvious when he says that we should talk about one at a time, which we should, yet at the same time he tells me to list 3 different lines of evidence at once.
Mr. Nelson, yes, I want you to list the 3 things that you think are the best evidences for evolution, and then we will talk about them one at a time. I guess I don't see a problem with that. Is there a problem with that? I'm giving you an opportunity to list the 3 best evidences you know of for evolutionism.
It's not an ism, Kent, and you only want the 3 pieces so you can easily go through your script and tear them apart individually, because you know good and goddamn well that the mass of nested data for evolution is irrefutable. It just is. So you want to narrow it down to those individual points so that people watching your debate who don't have a fucking clue how reality actually is will say, oh, Hovind had responses for everything, so he must have been right. That's one thing I would do if I debated him. I'd just completely bullshit the entire way. I mean, I'm serious. I would not take the debate seriously because there's no point in it. Fucking clown. In my particular way. I'm sure the moderator would figure it out, but Hovind wouldn't, and I just played dumb the entire time.
And then we'll talk about them one at a time.
What do you mean I'm just making stuff up? No, these are facts. These are my strongly held beliefs. Kent says it's a religion. He needs to respect other people's religions. Harvard.
Why would you think that's a contradiction here? I don't understand.
So we can't talk about one thing at a time, can we?
Why is it? I don't understand. You can't list 3 things and then we talk about them one at a time? Go ask your mama to explain it to you, okay? It's not hard.
And again, the idea of someone above the age of 50 saying mama, mommy, daddy like that is so creepy. I mean, any adult pretty much using that kind of language is creepy, but the older you get, the more disturbing it is. And Kent constantly talking like that is really unnerving.
I'm not going to keep my video unlisted and let him edit it twice before anyone sees it. There's no reason to do that, and there are good reasons not to.
Fair enough.
Why would I? So he can sell copies? I'm a YouTuber.
Is a YouTuber an occupation? Is that something you go to school for? So someone who posts to YouTube can claim...
So an occupation is, definitionally according to Ken Hovind, something you have to go to school for. If you do not go to school for it, then it is not an occupation. Kent has no idea about anything. Also, belittling new media, new creative capabilities, new ways of making an income, ways of contributing to society. Because, you know, R&R actually contributes to society. You didn't file a tax return for 28 years. Didn't pay any taxes. If there's a law, I'd like to see it. And then when you're showed it, you go, nuh-uh. And then 9 years later, after you get out, cry about it and say you didn't do anything wrong. Please, Daddy Trump, please eliminate my conviction. Ooh.
Claim to be a YouTuber. Yes. Is that like an honorable profession? I mean, are there any restrictions on who can do that? Yes. Is there any training? Is there you get like a certificate? I'm a YouTuber?
Let's see. Like many skills, it's something you have to learn from watching other people's do it. Watching the other people's do the thing. Watching other people do it. And reading up on current trends, following with what's thing. Like, if I didn't watch AJ, I would not have a clue how to do streams that are far more interactive than what I was used to. I still thought everything was just OBS and the like. And even then, I fail terribly at getting things like the chat put into OBS. And I don't have a multi-monitor setup due to space limitations, and I can't find the power supply on my other monitor. I know it's in a box somewhere around here. Probably. So it makes it a little hard, but here with StreamYard, and now I mean primarily using Restream, makes things super easy, super convenient. And given I have some skill at managing a switchboard, making for interesting content, which I'm surprised I've got that skill, and aside from some muting issues and the occasional tech fail, apparently I put on pretty good content even with free software and just going off the cuff. Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I jokingly call this a side hustle. Get a little bit of scratch, have fun with my friends, get to talk shit about you constantly, rightfully so, and know that I'm doing good because people have come and said thank you to me for, in comments. Thanks for doing these videos. They're getting out of young Earth creationism, or they had been grown up young Earth creationists, and hearing me, be this way about Kent is cathartic to them. And oh man, I love that so much. To know that someone is getting that level of joy, that level of healing from my videos, from what I do. Oh, I couldn't ask for anything better. I really couldn't. But yeah, Ken, YouTuber is definitely an occupation. A lot of people, it shouldn't be their occupation, but Aaron, definitely. Emma Thorne, definitely. AJ, the apocalypse willing, shall we say. Hopefully he'll be able to make it a full-time thing. Planet Peterson gets a little old after a while. I love the dude, but just the people he talks to, it just gets old. As does my Hovind content, I'm sure. But, definitely glad he's able to do this after the teaching gig went under because people want to be dicks. If I could ever go full-time, hell yeah. I'd be streaming every game, constantly doing hangouts and stuff. It'd just be nonstop, internet action. And of course, it's what you do now, and Aaron calls you out on it in his response. It's what you've been doing since prison. And that's absolutely fine, but it's just a matter of you lacked the self-awareness at this to not realize that's what you were doing. But of course, you don't see it that way. You're preaching, and YouTube is just the medium, which actually is a valid way to look at it, but that doesn't negate you being a YouTuber because you're producing content for, at the time, YouTube, or in a more genericized sense, for the internet.
Congratulations. Okay.
Patreon. I'm not peddling DVDs like it's 1999, and I wouldn't go into any partnership with that snake oil salesman anyway.
Whoa. I don't want.
Yes, the snake oil salesman. And yes, you can all hear the cat that I think is Cormier really wanting in the room. Her and her sister have come into the room about 20 times today. Every time I open the door, they would run in. And then they'd eventually want out again. It's nice to have them in, but it's a bit messy in here. I got guitars on the bed. I got, boxes of stuff. There's a Bell System, a hard hat there because, that's where it is. There's a printer over there. My bass is over there. Plants are there. My guitar amp's over here. I'm in the middle. Computer's right in front. It's a small room. So, yeah, I don't quite want the cat in while I'm recording. And ironically, earlier, it turns out Dwayna was in here, and I had to let her out. But I did that while Kent was talking, so of course y'all didn't hear anything. Because I'm able to multitask and sometimes not fuck it up. Let's keep going.
Partner anyway, but let me just see here. Let's see. Snake oil salesman.
Here's a summary from Wikipedia. Snake oil is a traditional Chinese medicament utilizing fat extracted from the Chinese water snake. It is a rubefacient and/or ointment.
So the Chinese, for centuries, have been using snake oil as a medicine. Okay, it was used in the United States. Snake oil. I don't know. What do you milk the snake or something? I don't know how you get the oil out of the snake, but that's the snake's problem. Anyway, Wikipedia says it's been used as medicine for centuries.
Oh, it's Wikipedia when it's saying something that helps you out, but it's Wikipedia when it says anything else that's remotely factual. Once again, wasn't for double standards. People like Kent would have no standards at all.
Traditional Chinese medicine using fat extracted from the Chinese water snake. It is a rubefacient and an ointment. It is applied topically to relieve minor physical pain. It has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for many centuries and is a relatively common medicine prescribed by doctors ascribing to the practice of traditional Chinese medicine. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't talking about snake oil. He was referring to you as a snake oil salesman. You should look up what that term means, you fucking moron.
I don't sell snake oil, Mr. Nelson. I never have. I don't intend to.
Yeah, you just sold, what was it, vitamin B17 or whatever?
I wouldn't be interested in that. So why would you say you wouldn't want to be a partner with that snake oil salesman? Why would you say such a thing? When have you ever... Check my website. Steve, you built it. Do we have any snake oil for sale on there?
No.
No.
Yeah, much like his Bible, he's taking this way too literally on purpose.
Julie, you work in the bookstore. Is there any snake oil for sale around here?
No.
Mr. Nelson, I'm not a snake oil salesman.
Water snakes. Hovind. Wish you get bit by a water snake. Sweetly in Christian love, of course.
So I will send him the video link after it is published for all to see, and he's welcome to do the same thing in reply.
Well, good. That's what I'm going to do. And apparently you did send somebody. I did not know about this. I would have responded first day had I known. Everybody kept commenting, are you going to respond to R and Raj? I never heard that he did. So thank you for responding, at least. We'll continue here.
This also enables the audience to determine the winner themselves rather...
Very good. I think the audience should determine the winner themselves, okay? Rather than, now listen to what he says here.
...than have him simply declaring victory in his final edit before sending it to his misinformed donors.
Declaring victory in my final edit before sending it to my misinformed...
Yes, I feel so terrible for the snake that bit Hovind. One, the fact that it had to make physical contact with Kent Hovind, and two, the fact that, yeah, the snake had to be destroyed to ensure that, you know, they knew what kind of snake it was, since you're not just taking, you know, a crazy biter and taking it to the doctor as they rush Kent to the ER. So that medicine that my tax dollars pay for could be used on this fucker. I don't care. Somewhere down the line, my tax dollars went towards that fucking medicine. I'm sure you can go through the government paperwork and find out where it did.
Donors. Hovind translation. Anybody who doesn't believe him is dumb. If you believe what I teach, you're dumb. Is that kind of how you would interpret that?
Well, I never told y'all. While I know, you know, money gets divvied up in particular ways, and one can look at it as aggregate percentages of the taxes they pay, I always, to myself, because, you know, 2000, you know, from when I started working on through to the end of the program, I always felt that my tax dollars, I always said to myself that all of it went towards NASA and like the space shuttle program. You know, ignoring the natural divvying up, because you'd probably have 100 people out there who would say, I don't want my tax dollars going to NASA, put it in the Army, yeah. And so I joked that it countered them, and that made me feel better about just paying taxes during those first years of working, so early 2000s on through.
Thomas, what all degrees do you have? You don't want to go there, okay? We got some...
Yeah, given that was federal prison, we most definitely Americans paid for his room and board. I want that money back, Kent. You didn't deserve it.
Pretty smart people here in our Dinosaur Adventureland crew. Okay, we got...
Yeah, they're so smart. They all left. None of them are hanging around, and I had to hire. Indoctrinate new people. Hovind.
Some people with a very high IQ, and I think we don't sell snake oil. And you're welcome. You might try some for the pain, though.
Okay, and while I, as a child, was one of the many among us who was told who apparently had tested for a very high IQ. IQ means realistically fuck all. It's a weird measurement, kind of outdated, that doesn't quite have any practical meaning. You know, it's complicated to describe, but it suffices to say it doesn't mean what people think it means, and oftentimes stupid people tend to be the ones who bring it up, because if it tested high when you're a kid, well, that doesn't mean you're still that smart. You could be. You could still be capable, but we'd have to test you again currently. And the test really kind of breaks down when you're an adult because kind of trying to measure against variables that don't exist. Let's keep going.
Okay. All right, let's see here.
This reminds me of the time that Hovind offered $250,000.
Yes, he was. Although he denies it, he was most definitely arrested for the charges of whatever exactly legally he did against Cindy Lincoln. I forget the exact charge. I don't want to misquote what the charge was.
For evidence of evolution.
Now this you talk about the logical.
Because as I mentioned previously, like in yesterday's stream, legal terms have specific definitions, and I try to use them within those definitions. And so I don't know exact context of, in this case, what was battery, what was assault, what's this, what's that. Domestic abuse, though, is most definitely what it was. In the broad sense of the term.
Fallacies, Mr. Nelson. You're going off on a rabbit trail now to divert attention. Here you've gone on for 10 minutes and 22 seconds, and you still haven't. I just simply asked you to list the 3 best.
Austin, great to see you. Don't know how long you've been in here. Just now noticed you. Yeah, man, good to see you. I was actually wondering. I hadn't seen much from you in a bit. I was thinking, hey, Austin, okay. So, yeah. Then, yeah, anyone says they're high IQ. Let's face it, yeah, is a fucking idiot.
Evidences of evolution. Ism.
I mean, this is a moron who says evidences, so enough said.
You still haven't. It's been 10 minutes and 22 seconds of you wearing out your temporomandibular joint. Overuse of the masseter muscle.
Yes, the classic spitting out of a couple of random things he happens to have memorized to make himself sound smart. Even though when actually challenged to think about anything, the true hallmark of intelligence is being able to actively think about stuff. Don't tell the philosophy bros, though. They'll never get over it. Oh my god, we're the smartest! Are you the smartest because you are, or the smartest because you think you are? Watch them ponder that for 3 hours. Anyway, god, that sounded like a Hovind joke. Point is, he shows no ability to actually think about things on the fly or process new data. He's never been able to do that. So the most he's been able to do is when he was younger, be a little bit more quick to react to stuff. But he, at the time, had more actively prepared a lot of responses because the science was still relatively young in a comparison to what we have now, So from the stage he was basing everything on, he was pretty sharp enough in what he had contrived as his responses, and then quickly got out of touch, and then got arrested, and then got even more out of touch. But yeah, he's obviously dumb because he can't think on the fly. He can't process things. Even my rambling, stuttering mess is still showing that I can think about stuff.
Anyway,
that means that if I show a body of objectively verifiable facts that are positively indicative of, or
if you show a body of facts that are positively...
Let him finish the whole statement, you fucking fossil.
Indicative of evidence for evolution. Here you are talking about the $250,000, many years ago. Rich lawyer called me and said, Brother Hovind, I love your videos. I love what you're doing. Why don't you offer a reward for anybody who can prove evolution? They want to demand everybody that teach it in the schools, and they want us to all pay for it.
Yes, this rich lawyer just decided they'd do this thing, and it became your challenge suddenly, not the rich lawyer's challenge. And, that lawyer believed exactly as you do with the exact phrasing. How convenient. Translation, Hovind made this thing sound good, knowing good and damn well he'd never have to pay out, and that was back during a time period when that type of shit was damn near unregulated, at least insofar as, people like him doing stuff. Probably because he caught wind of James Randi's thing and decided to one-up it.
Prove it. I said, well, for a long time I was offering $10,000 for anybody who could prove the theory of evolution. He said, I'll back you up, let's make it $250,000. So, okay. So for a long time we said $250,000. Now if you're going to prove evolution is true, obviously you would have to prove that God did.
Meanwhile, as crusty as they are, you can hear the gears turning in my head and realize something's being processed. It may be running with 1/4 of the power of a C64, but my brain still got some capability. Sometimes the expansion cart gets loose and you got to wiggle it back in there. But it's okay. It's okay. We're working on upgrading it to a Commodore 128 as the hardware base. So we're good. Maybe when I get the thing out of store. That's something I want to do. So if I can deviate for just a little bit, I've had a Commodore 128 for over 10 years now. Fucking love that computer. All right, C128, that's my baby right there. I never did videos on it. I think one video on my YouTube channel you can find was a Christmas upload that is one of the old Commodore 64 demos that was recorded from my Commodore 128, running it through a TV that had video outs to run it into a VCR to be able to capture, or into a capture device to capture the stuff and upload it. I've never done videos on my C128, even though I got like a Wi-Fi modem for it. I got the SD card reader and stuff. You know, I mean, that baby's set, man. Play some Gianna Sisters, play some Berserk, play some homebrew stuff. It's sweet. Swear. It's going to be one of the first things I set up when I get all my stuff out of storage and get my life back to the way it should be. And, oh, it's going to be fun. I'm going to do so many fucking videos. Yeah, it's going to be nice.
Didn't do it. I'd like to see how you can do that. You want us to pay for this religion to be taught. The burden of proof's on you to prove that it's the only.
And yes, the James Randi test, our challenge was absolutely valid. There were proper win conditions. There were proper fail conditions as well. But you could win it, no problem, if you actually had some kind of psychic or supernatural ability.
Only scientific explanation, only reasonable explanation. If you're walking through the woods and you find an arrowhead, and I said, I want you to explain how this
Oh, God, here we go.
came to be, but you cannot use man as your answer.
You cannot use man. He's got to shake his head right there. Y'all see that?
And I said, I want you to explain how this came to be, but you
Here you go. We're gonna go slow with this because we hadn't done that in a while. Dropping down to quarter speed.
cannot use man as
Cannot use man. Fucker. Oh, you've already called it an arrowhead, thus describing what it is. Arrowheads are known artificial objects. At the very least, even if it was naturally shaped, it had been usurped and used as a component to an arrow, therefore making it part of an artificial construction. Artificial construction that is effectively universally made by people. I say that because theoretically some other ape could realize putting a sharp rock on the end of something is a nice stick, makes it a more effective killamajig, and there you go, suddenly they discovered spears, which at what point does a spear become an arrow? You throw it, it's a missile either way. And if it's made of ether or mana or what have you, it's a magic missile. Got a D&D reference in there. So yeah. Point is, you've already defined it as the object that it is, which is a known artificial object. Therefore, your request, your demand is nonsensical. Like everything about you.
as your answer. Well, you might go off on all kinds of scientific explanations about thermal expansion or exfoliation or abrasion or contortions and.
Yes, exfoliation on a rock. Fucktard.
Come up with any ideas you want. There's only one logical answer. Somebody made it. There's only one logical answer. God made the world. Now, if that bothers you, I'm sorry, but the $250,000 offer was a lawyer backing me up saying, offer evidence if somebody can prove evolution in a court of law. Now, why you're going off on this rabbit trail, I don't know, but I think it's a logical fallacy to divert a rabbit trail away from the topic. You're still not giving evidence for evolution.
But see, if an arrow is never fired from a bow, is it still an arrow? Are we then defining it based on its intent? Which is fine. But it becomes interesting because you can turn something into an arrow by firing it or by making it intent to be an arrow. And it could be two of the same object. But then it all depends around either intent or if something did happen with it. So it's something that could happen with it. Therefore, you could extrapolate that it already is that object if it ever happens because it could become that object at that point. It's a weird thought. gets into all kinds of crazy stuff. And I know I say I don't like philosophy and stuff, but sometimes I get into these weird little things. And I only say that as a thought of like, this fits into the craziness of how we define things and the way words are used, the way definitions are, and the way names for things are, which also fits back into Ken's whole thing about the animals don't care what we call them. And it's like, yeah, but we do, and we call them the way that we do for certain reasons. And if we called something different, like the oak trees in the previous video or my previous live stream that were brought up, would Kent still agree that the acorn forms an oak tree if it's not an oak tree? Just saying. It's an interesting thought, though. And that's why I don't do philosophy, because all the stuff I get into is really weird abstract thoughts. It's all abstract thoughts, but all the solipsism and all the typical, presuppositional crap and all the stuff you normally hear in these debates and such, it doesn't interest me in the least.
Finish it.
Exclusively concordant with that position, which is what evidence is, of which I have volumes, then he'd have.
Yeah, I know. And I was just, responding with, the logic of objects that are intended to be an arrow. When does a spear become a dart, when it's thrown? It depends on definitional things. It's still the same object, so. So I just saying with the old arrowhead thing. Y'all got me off on a tangent. I know you love it.
Have to give me $250,000, right?
You have volumes of evidence for evolution. I'm ready for it. I've been asking for it. Give me your best three. That was the topic we started with. You have volumes of evidence.
Oh, so you want his best 3 volumes of evidence? Oh, we should get our friend Austin Sims in with his catalog of all the disciplines of science that confirm in one way or another evolution. And there you go. That's the first volume. Now, you might cry one topic at a time, but you requested definitionally whole volumes, because that's what Aaron talked about. Ergo, getting one volume, however many individual topics that may be combined together into one constituent section of a greater work. You're just going to have to deal with it, Kent. I'd love for him to have made that kind of mistake against me live if I was just debating him. I'd be like, oh, you want 3 volumes? All right, I'll give you 3 volumes.
Okay. Time for the fan again? No, better not. Okay.
Right? But if you tried to collect that prize, the next page said that he wouldn't actually accept anything that would qualify as evidence of evolution.
Oh, no, I never said that. I'll accept anything that qualifies as evidence for evolution. What do you have? Has anybody ever seen life come from non-life? Has anybody ever seen a dog produce a non-dog? Has anybody ever seen a single-celled organism turn into a 2-celled organism?
We've seen multicellularity. The second one's fucking nonsensical. And the first one, life from non-life, the chemistry does not preclude it in any way, shape, or form. And depending on how you define life, sure. I really wonder to Kent if viruses are alive. I wonder how he defines them. I really should, on an open mic, call in and ask him about that.
And I don't mean a colony. I mean a 2-celled functioning organism.
Oh, he specifically wants 2 cells. Oh, so if it's 3 or more, suddenly it's not a functional organism. Which... But he always just decries everything it's just a colony, it's just a colony. It's like, no, it's not. You separate components of it, you cut it down the middle, the whole thing dies. It's no longer a colony. It's now an individual organism. Once whatever it was evolved multicellularity like that. Sorry, I forget what it is, and brain's a little too filled with Guild Wars stuff. I've been working on ascended weapons. It's been taking some time. I got some shit I gotta do after the stream's over. But yeah.
Has anybody ever seen a mutation that adds new information? We see mutations that detract information, like cavefish going blind. That's losing, not gaining. I cover all that in my Lies in the Textbooks video. You might want to watch that very carefully. Part of the series, $50 for the whole thing. DrDino.com if you want to get that. Okay, let's go on.
Instead, he demanded proof that God couldn't have done it. So we have to assume that a God even exists, in which case he has unlimited magic. So the offer was just a dishonest bait and switch scam all along.
It was not a dishonest
To counter that, I propose that Super God, who created your God, is the one behind everything. I win.
bait and switch scam. It's legitimate, and nobody ever gave evidence. Instead, they complained about the offer, like you're doing here. Where's the evidence? I would like to see it. Okay.
Where's the evidence for your God? I would like to see it.
Done as a publicity stunt so the believers could say, see, no one answered Hovind's challenge.
It wasn't a publicity stunt. It was to try to get guys like you to admit, you know, we really don't have evidence for this theory. We really can't prove it. We believe it very strongly, and we want everybody else to believe it. Well, that's normal with every religion. Every religion really honestly believes what they believe, and they try to get others to convert to their religion. Some at the point of a sword or a gun, but that's
yes. Crusades. Let's see. The entire takeover of Latin America. Native Americans as well, actually. Let's see. I hadn't seen no holy wars over evolution. All I've seen is the world get better as we've understood more about biology. It's kind of funny how that works.
normal for every religion to believe they're correct and to want to get other people to believe like them. That's what your religion's been doing for the last 70 years.
I remember another debate that Hovind had where his opponent accurately guessed what evidence Hovind would ask for, so that upon demand, his interlocutor produced a printed stack of peer-reviewed articles. Hovind
Kent probably quantifies information by jots and tittles. Ah, yes, into the Vikings in Norway. Very much.
literally did a hand-waving dismissal, looked away and said, "That's not evidence, that's just a bunch of paper."
And, you know, what's funny is people like the moron who shall not be named, give me crap over doing the Hovind voice that I, of course, got from AJ, but Aaron did the voice right there. It's just a thing because Hovind has a very peculiar voice. And so a lot of us are going to do it mockingly. And at least our impression is actually somewhat accurate, as opposed to when Hovind was mocking Creaky Blinder and putting on the worst attempt at the beautiful Welsh accent that I've ever heard.
If someone hands me a stack of paper and say, "This is peer-reviewed articles."
Ah, yes. Leaf upon you all, Moorhen.
That is now evidence for evolution.
Wow. You hand me a stack of papers that says the Bible. And that's now evidence for all the bullshit in the Bible.
Nobody's ever seen any animal produce a different animal. I've read bunches of different articles where people try to they look at some little bump on a frog and say, "Oh, wow," or a ladybug. "This one's got 12 spots instead of 11. Oh, it's still a ladybug, sir. But they can't get a government grant unless they find an extra dot on the ladybug or something like that.
And there's the claim of conspiracy.
Like that. Show me the best evidence. I've been asking for this. Not a stack of papers. Explain it to us.
That's how dishonest Hovind is. And that's why he's not to be trusted to set the parameters of our debate.
Hold it. I thought you said you wouldn't do a debate, Mr. Nelson. I thought you said it had to be a discussion. You're waffling back and forth here awfully bad, but that's okay. I don't care which one you want to call it. I like this format, though. I like to be able to... You can't respond. I have the pause button here. This is wonderful. Now, I'm not dishonest. I'm very honest. Ask people that have known me for years. Ernie Land, one of our trustees, known me for nearly 30.
Ah, yes. As Austin puts here, in all seriousness, he doesn't define information. No creationists will define information when they make this request, so they can always move the goalpost when you point out that the claim is absolute bullshit. Literally every organism that is produced is new information. Exactly.
30 years. He'll say, "Brother Hovind, you haven't changed at all." I think extremely honest and blunt sometimes, maybe a little too blunt.
You may be blunt, but you're not honest, Kent.
Okay.
If Hovind wants to debate science, he's going to have to follow certain rules.
Science is things we can observe, study, and test. I'd like you to follow those rules. What observation do we have of any animal ever producing a different kind of animal? I think that's a reasonable rule. Let's see.
Of them being that, of course, peer-reviewed articles reflect actual research experiments that really do qualify as evidence.
Peer-reviewed articles, think about that. In North Korea right now, how many peer-reviewed articles are being written saying, we don't think communism works?
Peer review is the domain of science, not for socio-political discussion in an authoritarian hellscape. One with beautiful music, but an authoritarian hellscape nonetheless. Again, this is also more of his cries of conspiracy, and as a person who has an interest in the DPRK, I would love to get into the weeds with him on this. In the same way, I'd love to have him describe exactly how complex the space shuttle is to me, since that's always his example. More complex than the space shuttle. Okay, define the space shuttle's complexity for me. Let's see who understands it better, because to me, this actually was a pretty straightforward machine. Relatively simple.
Do we have economic magazines in this country where people discuss different economic theories of what works and how to invest?
And that's it exactly, DM Wing. The papers were observations and tests, Kent. They're compilations of the data. If you would like to see the raw data, sure, but I don't think you got a computer capable of processing some of it. You know, you don't have a computer that can actually work with the human genome data. Because it isn't just a list of some random guys, you know, proteins and stuff. It's complex modeling to understand it better. Because to understand what happens, you have to actually model these chemical reactions happening. And they are pretty fucking complicated. But that's an emergent complexity. It's all still individual, very simple, very understood reactions. Just a whole lot of them. Just like in the end, every computer we have is just flipping ones and zeros. Switching on and off a whole lot. And that literally is all they're doing. All the digital technology we got is literally just flipping a switch on and off effectively trillions of times. In usually much parallel operation, but still. It's pretty wild.
Invest your money and stuff like that. There's a whole branch of people, a whole bunch of people involved in economics, the bankers, etc. Are they allowed to write articles back and forth and say, hey, we don't think capitalism works, we think communism works, or we don't think communism works, we think socialism works, whatever? Are there any peer-reviewed articles in North Korea?
Well, straightforward if you walk in the same line for a really long time. Hovind?
Questioning communism?
Again, there wouldn't be because it's an authoritarian hellscape. Also, North Korea is not definitionally communist, and such text has been removed from their constitution. Technically speaking, they're a Juche state. Have been, although they're lightening up on Sungun policies. Would you like to discuss the politics of the DPRK further, Kent? I would love to get into a discussion about the politics of the DPRK.
You think there are? What would happen if somebody wrote an article and said, I don't think communism works, I think capitalism's a better system? I don't buy your peer-reviewed article. I think that this...
Yes, because you claim conspiracy, because that's the only thing you can claim.
The scientific peer-reviewed process has been sabotaged and taken over by the evolutionists, where if you don't claim to believe in evolution, your stuff won't get published. Watch the movie Expelled by Ben Stein. Is it over there on the shelf? You guys can
yeah, what a piece of shit that movie was.
come in and watch it if you'd like in the TV here. So that's not evidence, the fact that the majority of something believes something. I think you find peer-reviewed articles in George Washington's time that all said, if you're sick, take out some blood, you'll get better. They would take out blood out of the right side, and then to keep the person balanced, take out blood out of the left side. Check out the doctrine of humors. That was the peer-reviewed science of George Washington's day.
Yes, and they were wrong, and we figured out that they were wrong, why they were wrong, and we worked to better our understanding of stuff. Very rarely does actual proper peer-reviewed science get just properly wrecked. as the scientific method developed and became more refined, 18th, 19th, 20th centuries, we realized a lot of stuff was wrong and we corrected ourselves to a point where I don't think a major actual scientific theory has possibly ever actually been just straight up, like removed, like just nope, it's no longer valid at all. It's always just been refined, like relativity taking over in the place of classical Newtonian mechanics. The Newtonian mechanics weren't wrong, they just aren't precise enough. All got refined. It's the beauty of science. It gets better all the time.
Check out the peer-reviewed articles about big rocks falling faster than little rocks because Aristotle said so. That was taught for 2,000 years.
That wasn't peer-reviewed. Just wasn't, Kent. You don't know the peer review process. Doesn't mean what you think it means.
Galileo came up with a brilliant, simple question. Hey guys, if I drop a 10-pound rock and a 5-pound rock, would the 10-pound rock fall faster? They said, oh yeah, Aristotle said it would. He said, what if I break the 10-pound rock in half and tie the two pieces together with a string and drop it? Does it fall like a 5-pound rock or a 10-pound rock? Completely stumped him. We don't know.
And, I wouldn't even necessarily claim conspiracy in the DPRK on that it's as a valid concept, because it's simply something that would not come up in discussion in the DPRK, just by its nature. At a point, is it really conspiracy if it's just the nature of things? You don't do it.
How about let's go up on the Leaning Tower of Pisa and try it? And they dropped off a cannonball and a BB and they fell at the same speed. But the peer-reviewed articles said, oh no, big rocks fall faster. It is true, most of the peer-reviewed articles in science magazines today will have to support the evolution theory because they won't get published if they don't. See what happened to Robert Gentry when he published peer-reviewed articles about the radiopolonium halos. Is that book in here? It's kind of a yellowish color.
Yeah, were they peer-reviewed? Were they rejected because of peer review? I don't know the details, but I'm sure there's a pretty good reason for them to have been denied.
Robert Gentry.
Also, if I may take a moment, because why not? From the Wikipedia article on Constitution of North Korea, the Socialist Constitution of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea consists of a preamble and 172 articles organized into 7 chapters as of 11th April 2019. The Constitution is considered as unique for combining strong socialist and nationalist tendencies, as well as referencing the country's Juche ideology. Just, want to bring that in. Also in the preamble, it states country's name is Democratic People's Republic of Korea as the, quote, socialist state of Juche that applies the ideas and achievements of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on state construction, on the state constitution. No, state construction, excuse me. Sorry, I'm speaking faster than I'm reading now. Usually it's the other way around.
Creation's Tiny Mystery. Anyway, he was publishing in the major magazines, and all of a sudden they realized, there it is right there. Hand me your phone, would you? Robert Gentry, up in Nashville, Tennessee, Creation's Tiny Mystery, he discovered radiopolonium halos in granite rock. Well, polonium has an extremely short half-life. It only lasts a few thousandths of a second. And so he said this rock was never molten. If the rock was melted, liquid, the halo would have flowed away. How many of the 4th of July fireworks from last 4th of July that blow up in the sky and make a ring, how many are still hanging up there in the sky? None. But if a fire...
Well, it depends actually on how you construct time. If you think about it just on a linear scale, we're stuck on, sure, but, there's multiple ways to think about the concept of time. Just saying. What we can actually experience is another story.
Firework went off in a giant block of jello, the ring would be preserved. Okay, the rings preserved in granite rock are clear evidence it was never liquid.
Yeah, Cassius, that is what I believe. Also, Kent, you do not comprehend radioisotopic decay at all, which is why this completely eludes you.
The Bible says when God made the world, it was under water. You guys believe it was a hot molten mass.
Water.
How do you explain the radiopolonium halos?
I don't know. Why don't you read the documents debunking it? Why do you ask us?
got polonium-218.
Do your own goddamn research, Kent.
Polonium-216, I believe. Read the book. So his articles were published until they realized, oh no, this proves our Big Bang Theory wrong, and they shut him off like a spigot. Robert Gentry, Powell,
Like a spigot. There's not a K in there, it's a G. Spigot. The only time you should be mixing your G and your K sound, Kent, ironically, is when speaking Korean, since the sound is a little bit between a K and a G, depending on where it is in the statement you're making. Hence, if anyone listened carefully to the way I pronounced Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, you'll notice me producing that sound, which is one of my favorite sounds to produce. I forget the name for that phenom. Phoneme? Phoneme. Yeah, phoneme. Oh, I say phenom for some reason. Probably because I'm stupid.
Tennessee. Creation Tiny Mysteries is the book. I'm sure you can find his website from there. So this is, Aaron, peer-reviewed articles is not evidence. It might be evidence of a particular religion like yours taking over society for a while. I'm trying to fix that. Okay.
Regardless how much religious make-believers want to pretend otherwise.
Religious make-believers want to pretend that peer-reviewed articles is not the way to solve this problem. This is not the way to solve the problem. Show me an example of any animal producing a different kind of animal. Every time I say, do you think dogs came from non-dogs? They will say something like, well, given enough time...
Put a bottle rocket inside of a big cube of ballistic gel. That'd be kind of interesting. Once. That's it.
Go, stop right there. Think about that. It's a really...
And of course he'd go Jello instead of saying something like ballistics gel or something, which ironically a lot of his insane followers would actually know about, being the gun nuts they are. And again, I like guns a lot. But, yeah, no. I don't know where I was going with that. I guess I'm just trying to say, they're cool. I just ain't that obsessed with them. But I like them a lot. But I don't build my identity over firearms. I don't sit there and go to a store and stare at what? Seriously. Go to a place that sells ammunition, a good hunting, sporting goods store near you on a busy day, and just watch people go to the ammo and just stare at it for like 30, 40 minutes. It makes no fucking sense. You see the prices, you see the fucking cartridges, you know, I hope, what the hell your gun takes. Just buy some shit and go. What are you staring at when you look at the ammo? What the hell are you looking at? It's like people buying shoes. And people are fucking weird buying shoes. They'll do that same shit for hours, just be trying on pairs. It's like, dude, just buy some shoes. Fuck. Don't understand this with people, but it's really weird with fucking ammo. Can only imagine how it is down there in Texas, because up here, man, it's fucking weird. Had to get that rant out. People are weird. I don't even know what spawned that. I actually don't know how I got off into that subject. That's how crummy my short-term memory is right now.
Religion. It's not a scene. If I told you if you kiss...
Oh, right, ballistics gel. Yeah.
A frog, it'll turn to a prince. You'd say, well, that's a fairy tale. What if I said if you wait millions of years, the frog will turn to a prince? Is adding time, somehow magic now, going to solve the problem? Now, for you evolutionists, time is your god. It can do anything. Given enough...
That's, yeah. It's not what evolution says, Kent. There you go. There you go. It's just...
Time. Given enough time, everything's going to fall apart. It's not going to get better.
Another rule is that he doesn't get to redefine scientific terms in ways other than mainstream...
Well, then you don't get to redefine science either.
Kent, the very thing he's talking about is your redefinition of science. Now, let me go science. I'm in Chrome. Let me hit up the Google with science definition. The systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and the testing of theories against the evidence obtained. It's not what we can see, know, test, blah, 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 as he puts it. Or the archaic definition, knowledge of any kind, which is what he's going with, because like everything, he's archaic.
Look at I got dictionaries from 1880. Science is knowledge, from the Latin word "scire," to know. What do we know? And then you've got to get into, well, how do we know what we know? Well, we know things by observation, by experimentation, by testing. And every farmer in the world will tell you cows make cows. There's millions of experiments to prove bacteria produce bacteria. And dogs produce dogs. Millions of experiments. Observation, testing, demonstrated. Where's the observation, science, or demonstration of a dog coming from a non-dog? You believe a dog...
That is not something that evolution states would happen. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me go back and see.
Observation, science, or demonstration of a dog coming from a non-dog.
Oh, no. He actually phrased it correctly right there. Usually says something not dog coming from a dog. Depending, again, on how you define dogs, you go back in the record far enough, you see creatures that are clearly going in that direction, but you wouldn't define as dogs. And, oh, look, you go further, and those older creatures are gone, but now we got something that's probably, sort of a wolf, sort of going, and then keep going, and oh, look, the wolf's domesticated into the dog. All depends on how we describe things. Dogs are just domestic wolves. That's really all there is to it. It's a fascinating thought.
You believe a dog and a banana are related.
I mean, they're very specialized as opposed to an actual domesticated wolf, hence why we don't just call them that, but that's splitting hairs. Y'all know what I mean.
For heaven's sake. You believe a pine tree and a whale are related. Where's the evidence any pine tree ever produced anything other than a pine tree? You're the one who wants to redefine science to include your religion of evolution, Mr. Nelson.
Academic science uses those terms. And I have to stress that because creationists depend on equivocation along with a host of...
Oh, yeah. This is something I love, is that Aaron so thoroughly dissects the entire creationist argument. And again, he who shall me names always wants to talk about us being clones of one another, but I've never heard creationists say anything new, ever. You hear one, you've heard them all. It's ridiculous.
Of other fallacious arguments. There's no great skill involved in refusing to be reasoned with, which is what it means to be irrational.
Refusing to be reasoned with. I'm trying to be very reasonable. I'm asking for your best evidences. There's your 12 minutes in now.
Fishing at least makes sense since there's so much going on there. So many particular hooks, baits, lures, so many particular combinations that will get you slightly different or drastically different results. With ammo, it's basically, is this the right cartridge for my gun? Is this the right weight that I want for the bullet? I highly doubt anyone in the damned staff scene staring at ammo is seriously, actually, if they were seriously looking for a particular grain weight, they would be looking for the grain weight. They wouldn't just be staring at the wall. It's so wild. Fishing, I understand looking through every single bit of that stuff. I'm no angler, but I get it. Having, seen plenty of the details on this stuff, having seen the aisles, I get it.
I still like to see it. Ration, based on reason, I believe most reasonable people would say there must have been some kind of designer for this universe.
No.
Able to be reasoned with. I'm welcome. Please. Isaiah 1:18, God said,
you are the definition of unreasonable, Kent.
Come now, let us reason together. God, very willing to reason with you, Mr. Nelson.
General public viewing our exchange will see every round of this debate, and the winner will be clear, even if I don't declare it and he refuses to admit it.
Well,
I love that he happens to point to the left right at Kent during that. That's just beautiful.
The winner will be clear if he refuses to admit it. In other words, he's already decided he won, hasn't he? Is that the way you would interpret that? Maybe we should have a counter up someplace,
I was planning on it.
Put a counter up. How many think Aaron is being rational and is proving his point? How many think Kent is rational, proving his point? Okay.
The only rational person here is Aaron. As Aaron has admitted being wrong and regularly will bring up, normal yawning case, will bring up that time he was heavily corrected by a very belligerent person, but he had to admit dude was right about us being defined as monkeys, since apes are a subset of old world monkeys. Aaron will accept being wrong and will work to correct his mistakes. A very admirable trait, something I strive to do myself, and I'm certain my entire audience does. You, Kent, have never admitted you were wrong about anything. At least anything of value.
He said not to delete anything he says, which is fair, but I trust that I don't have to keep everything he said in his challenge video, because that...
You're back to the challenge video. Is this about the $250,000 challenge?
Kent, something you're not getting, Kent, during this, or you weren't getting, was that this was video one of him responding, acting as an introduction to the actual challenge. That's Aaron's prerogative to do that for the greater narrative of the videos he makes. Again, something you wouldn't understand because you don't have an artistic bone in your body. Maybe the bones in your body were artistic, but they're missing a few R's and replaced them with U's. And the R's went towards all the random slurs you throw out. Or maybe you're just a piece of shit.
Which is unrelated to this, but okay.
That was nearly 40 minutes long, and only about 6 minutes of that had anything to do with me, so I cut out all the irrelevant bits.
Surprisingly, no. Although I do want a good old mil-spec 1911, all I have is a normal 9mm Ruger P85. Mark 1, mind you, so it doesn't have the safety modifications. Because I live dangerously. And I've never bothered to send it off, because I do live in Memphis, and that'd be the time some shit goes down.
It's including him reading from my Wikipedia page, except that I do have to comment on this.
It says he studied paleontology at Dallas. I don't know what that means for sure. He walked onto the campus and picked up a rock. It doesn't say which campus. I studied paleontology in 37 countries in all 50 states. I have studied lots of things in all those states. Okay.
You haven't studied jack diddly shit, Kent.
Notice, Hovind claims to have studied paleontology in 37 countries, but we have no reason to believe that he ever attended it.
You're going off, diverting from the fact here. I asked where...
Once again, not letting Aaron finish stuff.
You studied paleontology. Your Wikipedia page says you studied paleontology. What does that mean? It doesn't mention a university. It doesn't mention where. It doesn't mention who the teacher was. I'm just trying to ask you a simple logical question. Yeah, if you mean studying rocks and ancient history, sure, I do that all the time.
Any classes in any of them, and we know he didn't.
You know he didn't take classes in any of those. Okay, let's keep going here.
He is the one who only walked onto a campus and picked up rocks. Making false assumptions about every pile of dirt you happen to see is not the same thing as formally studying a field that he obviously knows nothing at all about.
I think I know quite a bit about that. I'm trying to get you to offer your evidence for evolution. It's been 13 minutes now, and you haven't offered any yet. But no, you can study. Charles Darwin, his only degree was in theology. Theology. He went to school to be a preacher. Was he a scientist, Mr. Nelson? Hit pause right here and answer that question. Was he a scientist? Do you think was a scientist? Okay, I was hoping to get this whole thing done in 4 broadcasts, which means right now is 6 more minutes of his ranting, so we'll stop. Okay, it's been long enough. Thank you so much for your offer, Mr. Nelson, to at least offer some evidence for evolution. You're going to finally get to it because I watched the whole thing already. And thank you so much. We will get to that in a minute. I'm not dishonest. I love the Lord, and I'd like you.
I'm not dishonest. Press X to doubt.
To meet the Lord. I don't want to be partner with you either. I don't sell any snake oil. Stop lying about me. Anyway, we'll finish it up tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. If you want to come down to Dinosaur Adventureland, we're having a blast here. It's a wonderful place to be, isn't it? Did anybody go up and see the stars last night? Bruno, you went up and saw it. Isn't that incredible?
Amazing.
We just sat down. A big old shooting star shot across the sky. That was cool. It's beautiful up here. This place is stunning. And you got to ride the 4-wheelers today? Did you get the certificate for... Where are they? He took the tour and survived. Your first time on the 4-wheeler.
That's right.
And they're fun, aren't they?
Pretty fun.
Yeah, you start off kind of scared. You quickly become confident. Then you get cocky. Then you get stupid. Then you get hurt. you go back to scared. You go through the cycle a couple times, and then you get addicted. Like, whoa, this is cool, right? Okay. Thanks for joining us. Push thumbs up, like us, share. Ring the bell. Tell your friends about us. And if you want to support us, join our 777 Club. We do need some stuff here pretty bad, some equipment. We need a trencher. How much time have you spent on that trench over there, Thomas? You got, yeah. Anyway, if you want to help, come on down, join us. Thanks a lot. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Boo. Glad it's over. This sucks. How many more sections do we have before Aaron's next bit? We got part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, and part 7 before Aaron got around to responding. Holy hell. And it just goes, oh man, it goes on and on. I forgot. This is going to be a while right here. We are going to be spending some time on this one. No, Kent is not bannovating on YouTube. These are R and Ra's re-uploads of stuff. While they will use the account, Ken Hovind Official 1, to interact with people on occasion, no videos are being simulcast to YouTube. They're not uploading anything. He's just strictly on Rumble. Rumble's is well, not strictly on Rumble. Rumble's the primary platform now. It's the most YouTube-like platform to watch his content, and that's where we watch his normal things on. I can actually go to that here real quick. Give me just a sec. There you go. There's the Rumble, Kent Hovind Official. And he's been on Rumble since the original Kent Hovind Official channel got terminated. They split up to everything. But of course, being simulcast on YouTube, we were just focusing on YouTube. So now if you want fresh Hovind content, like I covered his Sunday sermon this morning, you have to go to Rumble or TikTok or wherever. Christian education from an unaccredited diploma mill. Hovind has no reasonable degree. And oh yeah, you know it's going to be freaking Rumble. Always wanted to do more detailed like guitar work, learn to be a luthier, but never had the opportunity. Maybe I will sometime. Maybe not. At least I work on my own instruments. Not much. But I do know the gist of what to do. I just don't have experience with a lot of it. But I can do a basic setup. Sans the fretwork. Yeah, there are some AI thumbnails if you're talking about the dinosaur in the middle right. Yeah, as well as some of the others, honestly. Yeah, Kent's got a lot of stuff on here, and realistically, if we go to his live and go all the way back, you can see the content starts. Say 12, 18. Come on. 21. You know, there's a lot of backed content to go through. If we go back to the first, what on earth or why did God let this happen? That was where do you find out? Yep, February 14th of gonna presume 2023. Yeah, from about when 2022 range, when the other channel got deleted. I think it was 2023. Whatever. I'm too tired to do math. Even though it's just, you know, a couple of basic numbers. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. That's the gist of everything. That's the Hovind. That was part 2 of the mini. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Y'all did make me feel better given the very sad news I got today. I'm sure y'all heard me eventually start to perk up. Still going to be a lot to deal with. That's just the nature of life. I mean, it's a lot of just personal introspection and realizing that, you know, this is just what it is. when you hadn't talked to somebody for over 15 years, when your last conversations weren't friendly, kind of sucks. And then finding out they passed, so you'll never get that opportunity to make things right. Really sucks. So I guess if you can take anything from this is if you've got any bad blood with anyone you actually care about, do what you can to repair the damage. This is honestly the one case where I'd really wish something would have gone differently. For all the other people in my life who I don't really associate with anymore, who we stopped being friends, it didn't bother me. But my friend, and he'd been my friend since second grade. Gaming buddy. Just sucks. And he's only a little bit older than me. So, like a month. So, yeah. Yeah, for those who didn't catch, at the beginning I did mention that my friend through the school days and up till about 15 years ago when we had a falling out, he found out he died. And it was my best friend, and it sucked hearing that. Didn't mean to make myself bummed again, but that I have to accept it. I have to understand that's the reality and progress through the stages and not get on with life. I never want to call it that, but continue living the life that I'm having to live and definitely try not to forget. I guess that's the best I can do. But yeah, much love everyone. I appreciate y'all being here as always. I do these streams for y'all because y'all have fun. We laugh. It's weird that it took reacting to Ken Hovind's garbage to really build a little community, but I get a chance to sort of be myself. Y'all enjoy it. I don't see why, but that doesn't mean I don't absolutely love as deep as I can the fact that every time y'all pop here, we laugh, we have fun, we joke, we mock the Hovind. Y'all give me new info. I share random tidbits with y'all, and we all grow together in one way or another. Take care. I am going to just mute myself, going to post a few things. And then like share some of y'all's comments, and then I'm just going to end the stream with I'm going to say a goodbye before I do, but I mean I already have, but y'all know what I mean. But I'm just going to share a little bit of y'all's comments real quick while I'm silent. Yeah, I appreciate that, everyone. Just keep doing what y'all do. I'll keep doing what I do. Sounds so stereotypical, but remember that not every day is guaranteed. So definitely do what you want to do, but try to make sure to keep your life, I guess, filled with as much as you can without overdoing yourself. Just try to be happy. Try to make others happy. That's the best you can do for everyone. It's kind of the end goal. If we all did that, all tried, all worked towards making that the better thing, the world would be better. All right. Much love. I got to get in